Hi, I am here with this thing that I just bought, and I haven't done anything to it yet other than cover up the markings that make it look like an ambulance, so I thought I'd give you a tour of the Ultimate Before. This is the vehicle just as I received it after driving it all the way to Chicago. So here it is. This is a 2011 Sprinter, 2500. It's a 144-inch wheelbase, and it was built out by the Miller Coach Company out of Springfield, Missouri. When I bought it, it had 128,000 miles on it, and now has about 130, because I had to drive it to Chicago. This is a Type 2 ambulance, meaning it is just a van that's been modified. All of the sides and top and everything are original to the van. And it was formerly of the Faith Community Hospital in Jackboro, Texas. And I think they may have just used it as a patient transport vehicle rather than an actual emergency response vehicle. I'm not sure. I really don't know. It does say EMS on it. But let's take a tour of the inside. So as you can see, they've emptied out most of the goodies, but not all. There is a Stryker MX Pro R3 stretcher gurney cot here that, well, I'm going to have to sell. I really don't have any use for that. Folks have said, hey, why don't you use that as the bed? And like, well, no. I am too big for that. It also came with this, which is an AED. That is right. It's a defibrillator. Here, I can show you. And I don't really know how to use it. I know that if you press that and then lift this up.
Call for help now.
And then things start happening.
Remove clothing from chest.
And I don't know where the paddles are or any of that, and it's kind of scary, so I'm just going to close it and hope it goes to sleep or something. I think if I press this button here, I don't know. Anyway, I'm also going to put that on eBay or something because, frankly, it scares me silly. As you can see, I can stand up and actually have maybe an inch of space. It's 73 inches. I'm 72 inches. I think it's actually higher than 73 inches, although right here in the middle, it might be 73 inches. It has these lights here that are very bright. I haven't taken them apart yet. I don't know if they're LED or not. I hope they are. Since this is a 2011, they might be LED. You can see that there are cabinets here, up high here, and then there's 8 million cabinets over here. And then there's some specialized cabinets like here. An open cabinet, and then this is the oxygen tank container. You can see there's a hose here, and there's equipment in there to store the oxygen tank, and that would feed right over to here where you would have oxygen. And all this stuff works. Like, here's the suction. That's the suction right there, and you can see it's doing something, and I can turn it up and down, and I really don't know what I'll do with that. And there's all kinds of lights, and there's actually air conditioning back here, but that only works if the engine's running. And, you know, the lights. And this is an inverter. This powers the 115 volt outlets. It is a 1000 watt inverter, but it is modified sine wave. It's kind of old, so I may end up replacing that. I'm not sure. This here used to hold an EKG machine, which they took with them, which is fine with me. Although arguably I'd have more use for an EKG than I would for some of this stuff. This is some stuff that I just threw up in here, and there were some biohazard bags, which are very nice. You can see up here the air conditioner vents, which is nice. They are out of the way, and yes, that does eat up some space, but it's better than having them in the ceiling. That's called the captain's chair there, and it's actually not the one that was advertised to come with the vehicle. That one had rips in it, so they replaced it, which was nice. This thing here is, it's a door. It's kind of confusing. This is, it's to protect the person sitting here from banging into this, but it's in the way, and as I drive around it, it bangs a lot, so that's going to be one of the first things to come off, and I can see that comes off very easy. And then down there is just a lot of space, so I'm thinking that's space for a water tank, and maybe I'll put the sink in this corner. I don't know. This rather old-fashioned looking thing is the fan control for the heat and the air conditioner. But again, those only work when the engine's on, which is up there. And apparently there used to be a refrigerator in here. This is a locking cabinet that I assume was their drug cabinet. Unfortunately, the keys they gave me do not work. And this is one of the reasons I really like this ambulance. This is all the wiring. And if that looks scary to you, you have not seen most ambulances. This is downright friendly. I mean, looking at this, I can pretty much figure out what everything is without too much work. I mean, this stuff here is all for the lights. And since most of the blinking lights have to come out, that isn't going to be a problem at all. It does have the hand gel thing, which I like very much. Over here, and I might remove this unit, I don't know, is more storage. This is where they had their backboards and things like that. They had portable oxygen tanks here, and one of them could be mounted at the bottom of the stretcher or carried or whatever. And then there was just more big storage there. The bench here, which obviously is not long enough to be a bed by itself, well, I'm going to have to extend it somehow. I don't know if I'm going to have the bed block the door a bit, maybe remove this, or maybe remove this back cabinet. I am not sure yet, but I will figure that out. It's a nice secure locker here, and that is the wheel well back there. Actually, it doesn't have as much space as you might think, but it's very strong, and I may put a lock on that, and that might be where the safe is. That's basically what's back here. I did teach myself how to remove the stretcher. Now, with all ambulances, there are mounts on the floor that hold the stretcher in place, and those have to be removed. And from everything I've read, that is a big pain in the butt. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I will make it work. The floor of this ambulance is a little different than most I've seen. It's a vinyl, I think, and it's fairly beat up. It doesn't have any rips or anything. It's pretty dirty. I may or may not leave that. We'll see how that goes. Fire extinguisher, I'm definitely going to keep. On the outside here, there's a nice step that is appreciated because it's pretty tall to get in here. And then in the back, there's this pretty big cabinet here that I don't actually know what they use it for. I mean, just general stuff, I suppose. But I think, oops, I think I may end up removing this. I think that might come out, because that would give me a lot more space for a bed. Looks like, I'm not sure why I can stick my arm back here. Yeah, there's some mysteries to solve there. I don't know why that's like that. I did contact Miller Coach and asked them if they had any schematics or anything, but they did not respond. So I think I'm going to be on my own. It's got the Tomar lights up top, and that white light that's on is called the action light, but the rest of those are colored. They blink in blue and red and amber, and I'm afraid they all have to be replaced. But they are individual lights in a holder, so that whole bar there can actually stay. So I might mount my own lights on there that I can actually control better and be legal. These red lights here and here are a little bit more problematic. This is the auto eject shore power. You just plug a 110 volt thing in there, and then once you turn the engine on, it spits the plug out, so you don't have to worry about accidentally running away with it. There's another here. This light here is interesting. There's one on the other side too. That means that the ambulance is on. That means that the master power switch has been thrown. So as it's wired right now, if you were to use this as a camper, you would have that yellow light on all the time. So I've got to figure that one out. These lights here are blinking lights. And this one here is broken on both sides, so I don't actually know what it does. They also put lights on the mirrors and on the front grille. I have not figured out what the ones on the front grille do. These are the sirens. Those have to come off. They are very, very loud. And then up there, you've got another light bar. That is the same thing. Those lights come off, and then that kind of light holder up there stays, and I can put stuff on there. So I think I will keep that. All right, let's take a look at the dashboard. This is the base model Sprinter, so there's really not that much to see here. Look at the dash here. It's all very standard. It has the cheapest radio. I actually had to buy a CD because I had nothing to listen to. It does have a lot of little storage cubbies. There's a glove box and that, and then down there is the jack and all that, and there are other cabinets. I mean, it's actually pretty cool in that regard. And then here, this is siren control and PA. Of course, that has to go. And then this is all the controls. Now, again, if you've seen any other ambulances, this is very, very simple, and that is good. I can completely rewire this with no problem. Oh, and that broken glass there is easy to replace. I'm not worried about all about that. This blank panel here used to have the radio on it, and I will use that for something else, even if it's just a step. There is a door. The door's right here, which is very nice. Slide that over, and then you can lock it with this rather primitive mechanism here, and that'll keep that in place. It's not the most secure door in the world, but it is a door, and that means that I can just heat the cab and cool the cab here, and not have to worry about doing the whole thing at once if I'm driving. It does have a backup camera, and that is on all the time. So long as the vehicle's on, that is on. And it's like a rear view mirror basically, and that's really nice, super handy. Looks like it's actually pretty fancy. It does volume, and you can do multiple cameras, although none of that's hooked up. And I want to show you one thing under the hood that's a little strange. The hood releases down here. So this is a standard Sprinter engine here. There's nothing really special about the engine except for one thing. If you're a Sprinter person, you will notice this right away, and that is right there. That's a battery. And Sprinters don't have their batteries under the hood. Sprinters have their batteries under the floor in front of the driver's seat. It's a little strange. And then normally you would use this thing here to actually jump start. You push that in, and then you can put one jumper there, and then the other jumper goes on there. That's how it's normally done. But this one has an accessory battery in it, and I assume that's because there's so many lights and everything in the back. And from what I've read, this accessory battery only powers one circuit, and that will do the entire back of the rig here. So that's kind of interesting. This is the cabin air filter. Looks like it might be time to replace that. It is not the air filter for the engine. That is under here. And this is the famous, infamous DEF container. You can learn about that, and you definitely should learn about that if you ever buy a Sprinter. So that's it. So that's the ambulance. I've got a lot of work to do to get this thing set up and going. I'm just getting started, but I thought I'd establish a baseline of what I'm working with. And if you have any questions about this ambulance or why I chose this ambulance, well, I'll probably talk about that later, but I'm very happy to answer questions. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you down the road.